Hey folks, SC Closer here. My friends call me Vic. Got another one of Vic's Sea Stories and Tall Tales for you today. I think this one's going to be entitled, We Must Clean. If I can find it, I got a picture. I actually have a copy of this somewhere. And I think I had posted a picture of it once a long time ago. So if I could find this, I'm going to put it into the video. But somebody has made a little drawing one time, and see, we were the USS Tripoli was an amphibious assault ship, and so we called it a gator freighter. And we were in the Gator Navy. That's just what they called us when we carried Marines. They called us Gators. And so there was this alligator, and he had a swab in one hand and a broom in the other, and it seemed like he had the little Cadillac, with just a little mop bucket, and anyway, and he was like, he had this expression on his face, and sweat was flying, and he had like the ship's crest or something on there, and it said USS Tripoli, we must clean. And that was in a response to, it seemed like we were cleaning all the time. We had these field days all the time. We were just always doing something to keep the ship clean. I remember when I reported on board the ship, we had these projects going on, and it was like the passageways on the main deck, which was the second deck, they had incandescent lights in them. And we had a project going on that was a joint products with the HT shop, those were the welders, and they were going in and they were welding up new racks and everything. And we went in and put in all fluorescent lighting. That was one of the projects we were doing when I first got on board the ship. And a lot of these passageways had steel decks, and they were going in and they were putting grout down and putting tile on them. And then they were waxing the tile. And they were repainting the passageways. And, they were just doing all this stuff. And I know at one point we changed the lights up on the smokestack where we had a big number 10 up there, and that was incandescent lights. And we went up there and did another project and converted those all over to fluorescence, and just to update it and to upgrade it. And they did a lot of work down in our berthing area to beautify it, make it a lot nicer. Our workshop that we worked in was kind of weird because it's almost like they held us to the standards of an office on how well we had to keep it clean. And it was actually a workshop, but we even had to wax the deck in there, and that was kind of interesting because it was an electrical workshop, and we had rubber matting on the floors, but we had to wax that. So we were always doing stuff like that to beautify the ship and to keep the ship clean. And there's probably other things that I've forgotten about that we did, but in any event, we lived there and everything, and it just seemed kind of normal to me. It wasn't until later till I learned to really appreciate how clean we kept the ship. We had a B&A crane, the boat and anchor crane, and we were having issues with it once in a while. And it seemed that the company that had made that and installed those cranes onto the ships when they were built in the 60s, on our class of ship, that company had gone out of business. And there were some micro switches that we needed, some little limit switches, and they were micro switches, means they were real small. And we needed these switches because the ones we had gone bad. And we didn't have them in the Navy supply system, and we didn't have any aboard our ship. So what we did was we went around the pier, and there was two other ships that were our class of ship on the pier. One of them was the USS Okinawa, and the other one was the USS New Orleans. And I went over to both of those ships and asked to see the duty electrician, and then they took me on board and took me to the duty electrician. Instead of calling them up to the quarterdeck, they called somebody up and they took me down to talk to somebody, I guess. But anyway, I got to walk around those ships. And I really noticed something when I went on board both of those ships, that the Okinawa was older than ours, and they were LPH-3, we were LPH-10. The New Orleans was a little newer than us, they were LPH-11. both of these ships, when we went down on the main deck and was walking across or through the main deck, they didn't have fluorescent lights like we did. They had incandescents. They didn't have tile floors like we did. They had gray decks. They didn't look like they've been recently painted. Everything looked kind of dark. It looked kind of dingy. And I noticed that. And I noticed that on both these ships. And I mentioned that to some of my shipmates when I came back. I'm like, man, have you been on board those ships? I said, our ship looks, wonderful compared to those. And it did. So yeah, it was a lot of work, and we made jokes about it. But when it came down to it made the ship a better place for all of us, and that helped instill pride in our ship. So I have to salute the captains for that, both Captain Todd and then later Captain Love. They kind of continued the effort because I think we probably had one of the best LPHs in the fleet.